The text message chimed at 3:47 p.m., sharp and insistent, slicing through the hum of my office. I was mid-sentence, pitching a new marketing campaign to a room of suits, my laptop screen glowing with charts. The phone buzzed again, face down on the conference table, and I ignored it. My boss raised an eyebrow, but I pressed on, voice steady, until the third chime. "Sorry," I muttered, flipping it over. Steven's name flashed, and the message was 5 words long, * bought the car. Worth it, * my stomach dropped, a cold, sinking weight. The room blurred, executives, whiteboard, coffee cups fading into static. I forced a smile, finished the pitch, and sat down, fingers trembling as I typed a reply. "What car?" No answer came. Before I dive into my story, let me know where you're watching from and hit that like and subscribe button if you've ever faced betrayal and fought back. Your support fuels these tales of resilience. I'm Audrey, 36, a marketing director who'd spent a decade crafting a life I believed was solid as oak. Steven and I met at Boston University, in a lecture hall that smelled of chalk and ambition, where dreams felt as tangible as the notebooks we filled. He was magnetic, tousled hair, quick grin, the kind of guy who could sell snow to a blizzard. I loved his spark, the way he'd sketch vintage cars on diner napkins, his eyes alight with plans. I was quieter, driven by structure, dreaming of a home with roots deep enough to weather any storm. We married at 25, in a small church with stained glass casting rainbows on our vows, promising to build a future together. My vision was practical: a family, a career, savings for rainy days. Steven's was bolder, a cherry-red Porsche 911 Turbo, its curves a symbol of freedom he chased relentlessly. Someday, he'd whisper, tracing my palm, and I'd nod, thinking it was a harmless fantasy, a spark that kept him young. Our suburban life was a tapestry of small joys and quiet sacrifices. We bought a colonial on Maple Lane, its white shutters charming despite the peeling paint, its backyard a canvas for Lily's tricycle and our summer barbecues. I rose through the ranks at my firm, my days a blur of presentations and late-night emails, my bonuses funneled into our savings, $87,000 by last count, a nest egg for Lily's college, a bigger house, maybe that Italian villa I'd sketched in my journal. Steven sold cars at a dealership downtown, his charm a magnet for clients, though his commissions ebbed and flowed like tides. Our mornings were rituals, my coffee run to Brew Haven, the barista's smile as familiar as the nutty aroma, Steven's Sunday polishing sessions, his old BU sweatshirt streaked with wax. Lily, our 4-year-old, was our heartbeat, her laughter over pancakes, her tiny shoes by the door. We'd dance in the living room to old jazz records, the crackle of vinyl blending with her giggles. But beneath the warmth, cracks were forming, invisible at first, like hairline fractures in glass. The signs started small, like pebbles before a landslide. Steven's late nights at the dealership, his phone buzzing at odd hours, screen tilted just out of view. He'd brush off my questions with a laugh, his eyes dodging mine. "Just closing deals, AUD," he'd say, pouring wine with a grin that felt rehearsed. I checked our joint account religiously, the balance a lifeline, but last summer, it felt off. He'd withdraw cash, $500 here, $1,000 there, always with vague excuses. Client dinners, he'd mutter, or work stuff. I found a Porsche auction brochure in his car, its pages worn from handling, and my heart sank. "Just dreaming," he said when I asked, his tone light but his jaw tight. I wanted to believe him, to trust the man who'd promised me forever, but doubt gnawed at me, a quiet ache I couldn't shake. Then came the clues that cut deeper. A receipt in his coat for a steakhouse dinner, $500, no business client in sight. A bank alert for a $2,000 cash withdrawal, untraceable. One night, after Lily was asleep, the dishwasher's hum filling the silence, I confronted him. "Where's the money going, Steven?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my chest. He leaned back, arms crossed, his face a mask of irritation. "You're paranoid, Audrey. It's my money too. You think I'm some thief?" His words stung, twisting my concern into shame. I backed down, hating myself for it, but started checking our accounts daily, my laptop a battleground of numbers that betrayed me. Withdrawals multiplied, $1, $500, $3,200, $800, always cash, always gone. I felt like a stranger in my own life, piecing together a puzzle I didn't want to solve. The truth crashed down that afternoon in the conference room. After the pitch, I slipped into the office break room, the fluorescent lights harsh against my panic. I called Steven, my fingers shaking, but he didn't pick up. The bank app loaded slowly, each second a lifetime. Our savings, $87,000, built from my overtime, our skipped vacations, my dreams for Lily, had vanished. Balance, $1,432. A $75,000 wire transfer to a Connecticut dealership, dated yesterday, stared back at me. I sank into a chair, the room spinning, my breath shallow. I texted him, "You drained our savings?" For a car, his reply, an hour later, was a knife, "It's my dream, AUD. You wouldn't understand, rage surged, hot and fierce, but beneath it, a deeper wound, betrayal, raw and unrelenting, from the man I'd built my world felt around. Muted, the radio's chatter a distant hum. Our house stood unchanged, hydrangeas blooming, mailbox slightly askew, but it was a shell, hollowed out by his choice. The Porsche sat in the driveway, cherry red and arrogant, its curves catching the sunset. It was stunning, a masterpiece of engineering, and utterly obscene. I stood there, keys biting into my palm, imagining Lily's future, our security, traded for this metal idol. Inside, the house was still, Lily at daycare. Steven's note on the counter, took it for a spin. Back soon, felt like a taunt. I opened my laptop, bank statements spilling across the screen, each line a confirmation of his theft. No discussion, no remorse, just a car where our dreams used to be. That night, I sat in Lily's room, her nightlight casting stars on the ceiling. Her breathing was soft, her teddy bear tucked under her chin. I'd sacrificed so much, late nights, missed vacations, my own ambitions, to build a life for her, and Steven had dismantled it for a whim. Grief warred with fury, a storm in my veins. I could scream, beg, or walk away, but none of that would restore what we'd lost. I needed to be strategic, not just for me, but for Lily. I opened my phone, the glow harsh in the dark. A divorce lawyer site promised free consultations. Claire, the attorney, had a no-nonsense bio and 5-star reviews. I booked an appointment, my resolve hardening like concrete. The next morning, Steven sauntered in, coffee mug in hand, as if the world hadn't shifted. "Morning, babe," he said, leaning against the fridge. The Porsche key swung from his finger, a deliberate flex. I spooned oatmeal for Lily, my voice calm despite the fire in my chest. "We need to talk about the money." He rolled his eyes, a performance of exasperation. "It's an investment, Audrey. This car's a classic. It'll double in value. You're too uptight to see it." I set the spoon down, my gaze locking onto his. "You spent $75,000, Lily's college fund, our future, without a word. That's not an investment. It's betrayal." His smirk faltered, a flicker of guilt, but he doubled down. "I work hard too, you know. I deserved something for once." I didn't flinch. "You deserve to lie? To steal?" He turned away, muttering, "You're overreacting," but I saw the crack in his armor. That week, I became a shadow operative in my own life. By day, I was a marketing director, nailing pitches, charming clients, my heels clicking with purpose across the office floor. By night, I was a detective, combing through our financial history. I printed bank statements, highlighting every suspicious withdrawal. I found emails between Stephen and the dealership, negotiations dating back 6 months of lies while I planned our future. I met Claire at a cafe, her sharp eyes scanning my evidence. "This is solid," she said, stirring her latte. "We can freeze joint accounts, file for divorce, and pursue restitution." He's dug his own grave. I hesitated, the word divorce a weight, but her next words were a lifeline. "He's shown you his priorities. Protect your daughter." I signed the retainer, my pen steady. The plot thickened when I uncovered his biggest mistake. In his desk, buried under old receipts, was a loan agreement. Stephen hadn't paid for the Porsche outright, he'd financed $30,000, using our house as collateral. My signature was on the dotted line, a clumsy forgery, the loops of my A all wrong. My breath caught, fury mingling with disbelief. This wasn't just greed, it was fraud, a violation that could have cost us our home. I called Claire, my voice shaking. "He forged my name." She paused, then said, "This changes everything. We can go after him for forgery, financial misconduct, maybe criminal charges." I didn't want blood, not yet. I wanted Lily safe, our future secure. But I also wanted him to face the consequences of his arrogance. I played my role perfectly, serving dinner, reading to Lily, while my plan took shape. Stephen was oblivious, taking the Porsche out daily, its engine roaring through our quiet street. He posted on Instagram, *chasing dreams, no regrets*, his grin a slap in the face. I smiled, said nothing, and met Claire after hours. We froze our accounts, opened a new one in my name, and redirected my salary. A forensic accountant, recommended by Claire, traced Stephen's spending: $2,000 on a hotel I'd never visited, $1,500 on a watch he hid in his closet. He'd been living a secret life, funded by our dreams. Claire drafted divorce papers, citing fraud and financial infidelity. I held off serving them, waiting for the right moment. The Porsche was his Achilles heel. I learned he was behind on loan payments, the dealership holding a lien. I called the bank, my voice sweet but firm, confirming the details. Stephen's bravado was his downfall, he'd bragged about the car to everyone, but his missed payments were piling up. I tipped off the dealership anonymously, citing payment concerns. 10 days later, at 6 a.m., a tow truck rumbled into our driveway. Stephen bolted outside, still in pajamas, shouting, "You can't take it." The driver, unfazed, showed the repossession order. I watched from the kitchen, coffee mug warm in my hands, my pulse racing but my face serene. The Porsche was winched up, its red paint dull in the dawn light, and driven away. "Did you do this?" he roared, slamming the door. I set my mug down, voice ice cold. "You did this, Stephen. You lied, forged my name, gambled our future. The bank doesn't care about your ego." He froze, the truth sinking in. "Audrey, I can fix this," he stammered, but I cut him off. "You'll get the divorce papers tomorrow. Pack your things." His face crumpled, a mix of shock and defeat, and for the first time, I saw him small, stripped of his charm. I turned away, Lily's laughter echoing from the backyard, and felt a quiet strength rising, unyielding as stone. The fallout was brutal but predictable. Stephen moved to a dingy apartment near the highway, his belongings stuffed into garbage bags. The divorce hearings were a battlefield, his lawyer spun tales of shared dreams, but Claire was relentless, presenting bank records, the forged loan, and accountant reports. The judge ordered Stephen to repay $43,500, half the drained savings, a debt he couldn't dodge. The house stayed mine, the loan voided for fraud. Stephen's dealership fired him after the repossession hit local news. No one trusted a salesman who'd tanked his own finances. He sold his watch, his golf clubs, even his BU sweatshirt, scraping by on odd jobs. I heard he drives a rusted Toyota now, its muffler rattling through town. Lily and I rebuilt, step by step. I sold the Colonial, its memories too heavy, and bought a bungalow with a wraparound porch, its garden a riot of daisies where Lily plays. My bonuses seeded a new savings account, modest but growing, every dollar a promise to her. Work was my anchor. I won a national marketing award, my name in industry blogs, my office now a corner suite with a view. Lily started kindergarten, her backpack dwarfing her tiny frame, her drawings of rainbows pinned to our fridge. I dated again, a kind architect named Mark, his quiet humor a balm, though I kept my heart guarded, learning to trust myself first. Stephen sees Lily on weekends, his visits strained, his old charm replaced by a bitterness he can't mask. I watch her wave from his car, my heart aching but resolute. I'm not the woman who trusted blindly, I'm the one who fought back, who turned betrayal into strength. The Porsche was Stephen's monument, but it became his ruin, a lesson in consequences. In our new home, the scent of fresh paint blends with Lily's crayons, a canvas for our future. I'm enough, for her, for me. If this journey from betrayal to empowerment moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of unbreakable spirits. Share in the comments, have you ever had to rise above someone's cruelty? Your story could inspire others.